Hi everyone. First of all, please excuse my hair. I was swimming earlier, so that's why it looks a little bit different. But we only have 2 more days until Epiphany. So today's hymn is already kind of talking about the future after Epiphany. It's also a hymn that I would categorize as controversial, and I think you'll see in a few minutes just why I think that. The melody was written by Christian Lahusen, who was born in 1886 in Buenos Aires, and he died in 1775 in Überlingen, which is just over an hour and a half directly south of Stuttgart at the very southern border of Germany. He was born into a family that had a business empire, and so he grew up in Buenos Aires at the family's colonial villa. He eventually moved to Germany for high school, and the rest of the family pretty much right after joined him, and they settled in Bremen. After high school, he started studying music, but left school to travel, and during World War I, he was drafted and became a fighter pilot. After the war, he moved to Munich to work in the music scene, and we don't know exactly what he did during World War II in the Nazi regime. I couldn't find any information about that. But he must have probably kept composing. And so during his life, he was a member of the Protestant Michael's Brotherhood, who apparently is or was an influential organization of both pastors and lay people. The text for today's hymn was written by Hermann Claudius. He was born in 1878 in Langenfelde, which is a suburb of Hamburg, and he died in 1980 in Grünwald, which is about 30 minutes outside of Hamburg. He was originally a teacher, but was also drafted into the army as a gunner in World War I, and eventually received early pension because he had a motorcycle accident that gradually made him go deaf. So after that, he started working as a freelance writer, and during World War I, he already started writing nationalist poems, and even though during the Weimar Republic he was a social democrat, during the rise of the Nazis, he switched his political affiliation to the Nazis. And during the Third Reich, he became one of the most well-known writers, nationalist writers. He even signed an oath of loyalty to Hitler in 1933, and his biography says that his writings kind of moved between pathetic piety and open literary support for the Nazi regime. He even wrote a prayer for Hitler. After 1945, he joined a group of writers that were kind of trying to retrospectively justify the Nazi area, the National Socialism of that area. And even though he was presumably not accepted in mainstream literature anymore after 1945, he still kept receiving prizes and even birthday messages from high politicians in the post-war era. So that is why I was actually considering not using that hymn today, just because the history and the biographies of both the poet and the composer are so openly colonial and racist and anti-Semitic. But I kept it to show just how easy it is to kind of be this historic and political changeling. Because it is important to realize that even with all the work that Germany did and continues to do to undo or at least atone for the damage of the Nazi regime, we missed some of the most important perpetrators, which are the writers of propaganda. And I feel like we're kind of sliding into the same situation again now here in the States. So I wanted to point out how really crucial it is to be aware of the media we are consuming. And for that reason, I won't be translating or singing today's hymn, as much as it pains me, because I grew up with it and I really kind of liked it until I found out about this history. But I can't, with a clear conscience, give these two musicians more airtime than they've already gotten. Please check back tomorrow and on Monday, though, because those hymns, I just double-checked, I will definitely be singing those. I did still want to provide a fun fact, though, about public transportation this time. Public transportation has some of the most incredible benefits of any kind of public investment. The economic returns are enormous. For every $1 invested in public transportation, on average $4 are returned to the community. It reduces air pollution and traffic congestion, it improves fuel efficiency, by having fewer cars on the road that are stopped for less time and spend less time stuck in traffic, it saves money. People who use public transportation don't have the purchase cost or upkeep cost of a vehicle, so no insurance, no gas, no repairs, no taxes, no nothing. And especially if public transit is free, which really is the only way to run public transit, because in most cases it costs more money to install the fare collection systems than the collected fares actually cover. And people who can't or don't want to drive with public transportation still have a way to get to work or to the doctor's office, to the grocery store, to see friends, all of that. And it frees up time. Especially when you're on the train, you can read, you can listen to music, you can do some work. You have so much more time if you use public transportation rather than driving. And it's safer too, and people get more exercise, especially on the train. Again, there's fewer accidents, and walking to the stops from home or to your destination, you get a lot more exercise. On average, I think 3 times as much exercise as anyone who uses a car. So all of these statistics are coming from a website called nationalexpresstransit.com. You can check it out. There's also a lot of other websites that have more information. And so I hope that next time you have access to it, you'll try it. So as I mentioned, check back tomorrow for actual hymns and singing. And so I will see you then.